With the non-stop growth of social media and art influencers nowadays, numbers of views on art hashtags rising by the second, millions of new professional art pieces popping up wherever you look, art can be a pretty daunting world to step into. And while it may be tempting to copy some YouTube manga tutorial from 2014 and call it a day, I'm going to give you little art fetuses some must-have tips and tricks that'll make your journey of improvement so much easier. What's the deal with color schemes? Why do you flip the canvas? Why doesn't my rendering look good? How do you draw hands? Well, don't you worry, little ones. Grab a sketchbook and a cup of tea because I'm here to answer all your questions. Hey there, I'm Parako and welcome to my silly little art channel. If you're interested in art tips, challenges, or just enjoy my art in general, feel free to stick around. And hey, maybe drop a like and subscribe if my channel seems like your type of thing. Okay, thanks! So you're ready to dive into the deep end of the Olympic swimming pool that is being an artist. You've got your sketchbook, canvas, tablet, math booklet, whatever it may be, and pencil in hand, you're ready to create a masterpiece. Only problem is, you've got no idea how to draw a person. Well, I really wish younger outfitters me knew this, but the fastest and most effective way to improve your anatomy is by using references. Whoa, I know what you're thinking. But Parako, everyone says that references is cheating! Well, that's just simply not true. Cheating is tracing or copying someone's work, or AI-generated art, posting it or claiming it as your own, and not learning from it. However, real-life references are an essential tool when it comes to improving. This isn't just for beginner artists. Renowned professionals such as Jackie Druco and Sam Does Art swear by the use of references on a daily basis. You can find useful references on Google, or Pinterest, which is just Google's more useful cousin, or even just by observing from real life, like cafe or train sketching. Alternatively, you can use posing apps like Easy Pose, available for free on the App Store. These ones make it more useful to draw dynamic poses from the exact perspective you want and are really helpful when illustrating a comic or animation. However, be careful when it comes to posing apps because they can often be stiff and unrealistic, which is why I personally prefer to use real-life images of people making specific poses naturally. Once you've got your reference, you can begin to recognize very simple shapes, lines, and angles in the image. Then once you're ready, you can go and translate those onto a blank page, drawing it yourself in order to understand how simple shapes can make up a coherent piece. See? They may look like building blocks right now, but once we add a few guidelines, and then gradually more detail, we've already got a basic idea of a pose. Now remember, the anatomy of your art does not have to be a one-to-one copy of your reference. As for me, I like to push and exaggerate the lines and angles as much as I can, just to make it all the more interesting. And honestly, it just really depends on your art style. Have you ever been working on a sketch as normal before realizing it just doesn't look right? And then you try to fix it, but it still looks like a mess, and then you get more and more frustrated until you inevitably throw your sketchbook across the room out of anger and it knocks over a cup of water, ruining all your art? Not that that's ever happened to me or anything. Anyway, this can all be avoided by simply reversing the image. Just go into the menu and click this button. It's over here for you Ibis Paint users. And for all you traditional artists, you can either take a photo and flip it from there, or just hold it up to a mirror. I've had surprisingly a lot of comments asking why you do this, which is sort of crazy to me because I honestly thought it was common knowledge for artists. The reason why you're supposed to flip the canvas is because when you're drawing with your dominant hand, your brain gets used to what it's seeing and becomes blind to its mistakes. This is why when reversing it, it's like putting a pair of glasses on your brain. You can see your mistakes more clearly and find out what you did wrong. And I know a lot of people think if no one's going to flip the image when they see it anyway, then what's the point of even doing it? Well, as everyone knows, making mistakes is crucial in order to learn. And if you really want to improve and become the best artist you can be, then recognizing your mistakes is the first step in doing so. Once your canvas is flipped, you can go ahead and use the liquify tool, sorry traditional folks, and just push and pull it a little until it looks better. And don't just do this once, make sure you're flipping it regularly. Another thing you can do to improve your composition is add a completely white layer above your rendered art and set the blending mode to saturation. This will allow you to see the values of your art and balance them out. Honestly, I wish I knew this earlier. Painting with values and in grayscale is an amazing skill to have. When you're choosing a colour scheme, please don't just do what Art Fetus Me did and grab the most random, bright, clashing colours that do not work at all together. Let me explain. One of the best ways to improve your colour schemes is by using limited colour palettes. Your colour palette needs to be somewhat balanced and harmonious, and we can do that by checking out the good old colour wheel. You've probably learned this in art classes before, but colours that are opposite each other on the colour wheel are known as complementary, named so because they complement each other. The most common are the main primary and secondary colours. Now, obviously this is overpowering and incongruous, but that's where our values and saturation come in. Personally, what I like to do is use one colour for the highlights and the other for the shadows, with in-between hues linking them together to make a pretty colourful palette. Alternatively, you can limit your colour palette by using an analogous colour scheme. Using only 2 to 4 hues can make your image seem a lot more professional and easy to look at. One of my personal favourites is orange, yellow, and green. However, if you do find yourself wanting to use more colours, another method is selecting one hue and setting it to overlay over a current colour scheme. It almost creates an analogous colour scheme for you. But if you're really stuck on creating a limited colour palette, you can also use gradient maps. Procreate has a few in the menu that you can try out. I unfortunately don't know if there's a substitute on Ibis Paint, and it essentially makes sure your colours fit into a select few. They always end up looking really cool, and I'm surprised I only discovered them a little while ago. But I think that no matter what your art level is, if your colours look good, you're off to an amazing start. I always find myself getting comments asking how I render and to do a tutorial, and honestly, all this time I've kind of tried to ignore them because I actually have no idea how to explain it. Like seriously, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm gonna try my best because I really want to help you guys. Though my biggest inspirations when it does come to rendering are Sol Rojo, Sam Does Art, and Lorna Kelleher, so I recommend checking out their content first because they're honestly so talented, much more so than me. Anyways, I start with a basic sketch using Procreate's round brush, with my colours very messily blocked out underneath. We've already got that so far. Once I've done that, I add a full colour layer above set to multiply. Then I drew a little sun wherever the lighting's coming from to show where the light will hit. If it's hard to figure out, then I found it really helpful to imagine yourself from the point of view of the light source. Whatever you can see gets hit by the light, and whatever you can't see is in the shadows. Then I begin to erase the layer where the light will hit. Remember, it does not have to be neat. You'll fix that up later. Just focus on getting your idea down on the canvas. Once you've got your shadow layer done, I like to put it on Alpha Lock and airbrush some red on the edges. Saturating the edge of your shadows really breathes some life into your rendering, especially on skin. I think that's called subsurface scattering, whatever it is, it looks really cool. Now that that's all done, I merge it all into one layer. If this is too nerve-wracking, which I totally get, feel free to duplicate it and hide the layer so you have a backup just in case. Now this is the part that's hard for me to explain, especially in the span of this short video, but I like to just go in and clean up the edges a little bit, smoothing it out. I also like to use the smudge tool for this. This is definitely the bit that takes the longest, and it's hard to put into words, but I just spend a bit of time going through and touching up the sketch until it looks decent. Remember to check your values and then make the shadows darker if need be. I also like to add highlights, which will be a little more saturated, and blend them out to make it shiny. It's all just about trial and error. Rendering is a difficult process that takes a while to get the hang of. Of course, the process of rendering hair will be different to that of skin or eyes. But like I said, it's honestly difficult to explain all that in one video. However, if you guys would be interested in me creating separate video tutorials for each, let me know in the comments. Once you're done with your rendering, I like to add some final touches to really finish it off. First, duplicate the layer, add a slight Gaussian blur, and lower the opacity to make it just a little softer. Once you've done that, you can merge them together and add some chromatic aberration, just because it looks cool. And adding a noise layer above really helps too. These small things can really elevate your art and just make it look a little bit more professional. Also, it's fun. Now, this may all seem very daunting as an art fetus, but I promise that it all gets so much better the more you practice. I know a lot of people say to set a small amount of time aside to draw every day, but I, for one, can't find the motivation to do that all the time. And I believe that you can't just force art. It has to come naturally when you feel like it. And I say this as someone who's unmotivated, like 90% of the time. But if you can manage to just make a bit of art every time you can bring yourself to do so, then the more you create, the more you improve. Trust me. And I swear, I am in no way a professional, and you're probably better off looking at the tutorial videos from those who have actually managed to make art into their career, like I hope to do someday. But still, if you're finding it difficult to improve, don't worry. It's something that every artist deals with. You're not alone, and I'm here to help every step of the way. I'd like to encourage you to leave any comments, questions, or feedback in the comment section down below, and send this video to someone who may need it. And if you did find this helpful, comment with green hearts to let others know. It helps me out a lot, and it'll hopefully help you guys too. And the best part is that it's free and only takes 2 clicks. What a deal! Oh, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, where I'll post finished pieces, works in progress, and possibly even open commissions in the future. All that aside, I wish you all the best of luck in your art journey. I promise you're going to do great. Remember to drink some water, get some rest, have a very hopeful day or night wherever you may be, and happy drawing. Bye-bye!